If you are following presidential news, you will know that Jeb Bush, brother of former President George Bush and son of former President George Herbert Walker Bush, you know that he's running for president. And if you watch this show, you know that he is a man to be avoided at all costs. A man is known by his friends. A man is known by his enemies. A man is known by who does not want to be too close to him. And that is true for various reasons. In other words, John the Baptist was well known, and you can see the circle of friends he had, and you can see the people who hated him in government, and you can see the Pharisees not knowing what to do. They didn't want to get too close, but they didn't want to be too far away. Was John the Baptist of God or of men? You know, John's baptism is what Jesus asked the Pharisees. So you can look at who has who for friends and enemies, and you can discern, if you understand what's going on ethically with those people, you can discern if this is a good witch or a bad witch. Jeb Bush, he's a bad witch. He really is. He is, and you can tell. Here's one of the ways you can tell. Because right now he is scooping up millions and millions of dollars from the high dollar donor Republicans who get to pick who the nominee is, like they picked President Dole, and like they picked President Romney, and like they picked President McCain. Oh wait, no. Those guys didn't win, did they? Do you get the point? They have enormous sums of money, and they have an agenda for that money. But they don't have an agenda for stopping the brutal murder of babies. Some of them have already helped to kill their own grandchildren, okay? Some of these wealthy elite Republicans don't want to ban child killing because if their daughter or their granddaughter gets in trouble, you know, to quote Obama, they wouldn't want to punish her with a baby. And so they've been involved literally in the murder of their own flesh and blood, okay? And they don't want to make a fight about homosexual marriage. Just let them do what they want to do. And they're not concerned very much about Islamic terrorism, unless, of course, it affects their bank accounts in some other country. These people are not our friends. These are people who argue and quibble and jostle one another and kid around about who's got the biggest yacht, how many airplanes they have in their private airplane fleet, etc. So Jeb Bush is befriending these people. And Henry Kissinger, oh my goodness, one of the newspapers is reporting that Henry Kissinger has gotten behind Jeb Bush. Henry Kissinger is a vile, despicable man, okay? Henry Kissinger is part of the ethics-free foreign policy, cadre, the junta, the people who, like under Richard Nixon, who would craft a deal with communist China and abandon the free Chinese, okay? It was Henry Kissinger, if you don't remember that, who did it, who was meeting with Mao Zedong and joking, yes, power is a great aphrodisiac, Mr. Chairman. One of the private conversations that they had, talking about I'll hold my tongue, the use and abuse of young women. Henry Kissinger was willing to, for money's sake, to cut a deal with the Chinese to bring them into the UN to displace the free Chinese and to put a communist nation on the UN Security Council, in spite of the fact that the people of that country were languishing in slavery under the heel of one of the most godless, anti-Christ tyrants in the history of the human race, Mao Zedong, okay? Mao Zedong probably engineered the murder of, and his associates engineered the murder of more people domestically in their own country than Adolf Hitler did in his. Now, we'll never know the true numbers because the Chinese killed so many people and the numbers were never able to get out. But this is a man, Mao Zedong, whose hands were covered with blood. And Kissinger wanted to cut a deal with him, and did. And so now Henry Kissinger, whose foreign policy is not based on right and wrong, but upon money and American interests, which is money and deep water ports and airports, places to land our jets, both domestic and military. Henry Kissinger is behind Jeb Bush. Woo! That's supposed to make me like Jeb Bush? It makes me despise his effort for the presidency even more. We'll be right back.
You have two choices. I mean, you can try to raise your children by design, or you will raise them by default. There are no perfect parents. We're going to get it wrong sometimes. If we have a plan, we've got a better chance of getting it right in the long run.
There is something deep within the heart of every human being that longs for parental acceptance and approval. When does a boy become a man?
Get a group of guys around and ask them that question.
I don't think there's a certain age. Some men stay boys their whole life.
I would say, 16, 18 years old.
Wow, that's a good question.
When they get bar mitzvah?
Well, I think when he has a child. So I just became at 56, 56 years old.
Without the power of the Holy Spirit changing us and giving us power over our sin, we can't hope to be the dads that our kids need us to be.
We have put together what we call an online university for you. Now that's a highfalutin way of saying that we have a pretty significant library of material, books, tapes, videos that are there for you for free. Why are we doing this? Because America is desperate for new leaders, and because this material could help you to become the leader that you and God want you to be. Check it out and enjoy it.